It's good to see you. You look fantastic.
Thanks, man. You as well.
Yeah.
You as well.
Do you want to jump right in? Shall we just go for
Well,
it?
first I wanted to say that I was talking to my wife Leslie yesterday, and I'm like, tomorrow don't forget I have to do this podcast with my buddy Paul, and she's like, oh, what are you guys going to talk about? I said, I don't care. I want to see and talk to Paul. That's all I want to do. I said we have so much history and so much fun together, and I miss you, man. It's not the same as it was, going to these shows and so we haven't hung out. We haven't hung out, but I think of you often,
No, the same, man. I mean, bless you. I mean, I was looking at some of the photos. Like, there's a photo of you and I'm going to send it to you, and I am like creasing with laughter.
I know. Me too. It's great. Just such good times, man. It's just. I think I told you I don't laugh like that all the time, and when I do, I remember it.
Yeah.
It's great, and we need more laughter. It's such good for your head and the endorphins, and it's such a good thing.
Yeah. It's funny, I mean, it's really funny. One of my favorite memories of you and I is in the bar at the Marriott.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was just flowing. We were laughing about everything. For hours.
And then there's always those ones with the things for Dom's wine tasting with those I don't know what you call them with the. What was like a bib thing? I don't know what you call it. The red things in case you spill or something.
That. Yeah. It must be that. It must be that. Yeah.
It must be that. Yeah. Oh man, it's funny.
It's funny. It's not the same these days, right? Like it's changed.
No, I think looking back on everything, I'm recording this just in case you want to use anything.
Yeah, same. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
So, looking back on those days, I look back on a lot of things these days when things are different, and I'm not really sure if they're different because we're just getting a little older or things have changed. It's probably a combination of both. Like those NAMM shows and especially PASICs I really loved. And I would go all the time. And then all of a sudden, I guess after COVID, and they were basically less people going. And, my wife had kind of an immune issue for a while. So like to go somewhere where I could get sick and bring it home didn't really make any sense. So I was like very late to kind of consider coming back to those shows.
Yeah.
Although now I may go, but it depends. I always loved PASIC especially. I love PASIC.
It's funny, I've never done a PASIC show, and I should.
Well, for me, they were always very local. A couple-hour flight. In the smaller cities like Indianapolis or Nashville or Austin, Texas, and it was just an easy hang. And as you know, it's only drums, so it would be like a real easy to get your rep, like your Sabian rep, Chris or somebody at that show. Then at NAMM, when the goal is to sell gear to the buyers for the year, you get FaceTime, but I found it much easier and just fun because it was basically only drummers, only drums there, and it was, as you know, it was an education event, so there wasn't all our reps and people that were part of the companies weren't focused on selling stuff to the buyers. It was like, let's just kind of hang out vibe, but so.
Yeah, and it's funny. There's two lives going on, isn't it? There's like pre-COVID and then after COVID, And I remember. Well, let's go the other way. You're South Florida now, right?
I am. Yeah.
But that's not your accent. You're a New Yorker, right?
My whole life was 30 minutes out of New York City and on Long Island. But as you know, Dom was east in Long Island. I was west. Close to Manhattan, and so I was there forever, and we were coming back and forth to Florida for like 7 years, and it was great because I was working down here when the work would be slow in New York, and then when summertime happened, I'd be up back in New York playing and stuff like that. As far as local stuff, not traveling gigs go. Yeah, and then we decided that we just really loved it down here, and the funny thing is, before I made the move to come full time down here, I did some research. Like I really took my time and said, okay, what's happening down here? Let me look at the area. How many music venues are? And I was like, it was like 5x to where I was on Long Island. And New York City was still okay, but there was, some of the clubs were starting to close down, and they would always change in New York. So it was like so many opportunities down here to play. And the cool thing too, Paul, is this is like an A stop on the touring schedule. So when any of my friends come by, I see them.
Okay.
It's not like I'm in Omaha, Nebraska, which might be a B tour level, stop. So like bands go through, but basically here is like an A stop. So like whoever's on the road, I see them, which is nice. So I see some of my drum buddies more than I would see like when I was on Long Island. So it's kind of cool. And there's a lot of guys that moved down here too. A lot of the drummers came down, and we got a little thing going on down here too.
Oh, that's cool. So where, I mean, for someone like me who lives in, Nottingham, England, whereabouts in Florida are you?
I'm in a town called Lake Worth, but I'm west. I'm not near the beach, so I'm inland a bit. And the city I'm closest to, it's South Florida. It would be West Palm Beach. And then the next one is Fort Lauderdale, and then comes Miami. And then, and then you go north from West Palm Beach would be Orlando. And then it keeps going. So it's a really big state. And the cool thing is I do gigs on this side on the east side and the west side too. So it's really, there's so many venues, and it's a big state, a lot going on. So it works. The only thing is, the flights from Florida, you got to go to New York to go anywhere else. It's like, I used to just jump on the flights. I'd be at, Heathrow in like 6 hours, and I took the, right over, like, it was easy. And now I got to go to New York and fly, so.
And how long is that? How long is Miami, let's say?
Oh, well, say Miami to well, it's going to be where I am, West Palm or Miami. It's a 2.5 hour flight to New York.
Okay.
It's not bad at all. It's just I'm used to being in New York and just jumping anywhere, and now I have to kind of go where I was. Other than that, it's killer. Other than that, it's great down here. Yeah.
So, I mean, I've got your bio open here, and I mean, you've done a lot with you've been like what we call like a sideman with a lot of people, but you've also directed projects as well. Like you've got various projects that you've fronted and designed as well. Is that still the case today? Are you still doing that blended mix of teaching, product endorsement? You've written a book. That's what I call a portfolio career, right? Like you've got lots going on.
Well, yeah. When it comes to being a band leader, I've always been a band leader for as long as I can remember. But we call it like a side musician, playing with on call and session work. But always, like even now, I have 2 projects that I'm band leading, and then I'm playing in other things as well. And I just feel like, I guess my personality is, instead of kind of waiting for the phone to kind of call, I'm proactive all the time. And now I'm at a stage in career, whatever you want to call a career, but in my life really, that I'm really trying to pick things that I really enjoy. And so I get a lot of calls for things, and sometimes I actually say it's not for me. I always call back. I always talk to people when I get a call, and I just, even if it's something, I always let me step back. Whenever a door opens for me, I think it's I live this whole God is my shepherd thing. Like things are coming to me, and I have to look at them. I don't take it lightly, right? It's no matter what it is. So I take a look and I say, do I need to step through this door? Do I not? And sometimes I go through and it ends up not being the right move, and that's the lesson there. But when it comes to me being the band leader, I'm able to choose now kind of what I want to do and things I really enjoy. So I have this new project called Flow. It's a drum solo concert. It's not going to be a drum clinic. I'm really trying to make it towards musicians and maybe even just the general public. But I'm not sure where it's going to land. I've been working on it for the last year and a half, and it's all of my kind of fusion music with some other more popular type feels, with some meditation type stuff. And a lot of inspiration. There's going to be a lot of spoken word that's inspiring and stuff. And it's all running video that syncs with the music perfectly. So it's a whole production what I'm doing. And it's going to be really cool. I haven't done a booking yet. I'm just about to get it booked. And It might end up just being for musicians. It might focus to almost being like a clinic or just for drummers, because it's drum. It's very drum. It's just me, and I'm playing the tracks and I'm playing solos. So I don't know where it's going to flush out, but it's my art. This is the art of things I love, and I've always, I guess, Paul, I've always tried in my daily life to have something that is my art, and then other things where I go and maybe make some money at or play. And so that's what I've been doing, which isn't a band leader, but it's my own project, right? But always done band leader stuff. In New York, I had the killer fusion band called Dahmer. It was Dahmer All Stars, and it was like playing with the best of the best, and it was crazy that I had musicians on each instrument, 3 or 4, ready to roll. And if one guy couldn't make it, it was like, oh, Brad's in town, I can't make it. Brad's off the road with John Mayer, so he'd come and just sight read the thing down. It was crazy. And then my trumpet player, Carl Fish, would be doing gigs with Billy Joel at the Garden, and he would say, I can't make it, called it. I mean, the guys were just crazy in the musicianship, So I wanted to play fusion music, so I put it together because there's not a lot of fusion bands out there,
Yeah, okay, yeah.
So I wrote music and I collaborated with a lot of people, and I put all my CDs out, and then we went out and played them. So it's really just, the band leader is something that I end up doing so I can do projects that I kind of really want to do.
And I think, just going back a step, we need our own outlet. We need our own art, right?
Yes, exactly.
We need that for ourselves, for our own creative endeavor.
100%.
And I think, I don't know how you feel about it. I'd love to know, but I feel more comfortable with that the older I get. Like where I'm playing more for me now.
Yes.
Whereas I remember you came to watch me in England, in Nottingham, and I was doing that thing that we've all done, where you're just playing like a club thing.
Yeah.
A club, because that pays the bills, right?
Yeah, that's right. And hopefully it's with really good musicians. So it did. It sounded killer. That's the thing I look at when I'm getting called to play a different, maybe a club date like that, or a cover thing, or whatever it is. If the players are really great, and I come away feeling like it's done at a really good level, then it feels good. But then in the old days, when I was really coming up, and I was more like a drummer for hire, like I'm doing everything I can to pay my bills. I was playing 5 weddings on the weekends. I was teaching like 4 days a week. On the weekdays, I'd be playing anything that came in. And then sometimes what would happen is you would come away from it, that doesn't feel good for my soul. That didn't feel right. Those gigs, it just didn't feel, but I had to make the money, and maybe the players weren't as up as I'd like them to be level-wise. But that's just part of being a freelance kind of person, I guess. And then when I started to feel that way, where I was getting called to do things that were good, but it just wasn't my art, and I was not feeling like my soul was being fed, I made sure I had my fusion bands going once a week. That was like my vitamins. It kept me going. Knowing I had that Thursday night regular gig with the cats, so to speak, whatever. It would really, the weekend would go by and I'd be playing and doing great stuff, and but it wouldn't. I always had the fusion, the art to kind of look forward to, and that would keep me rolling,
And I think that's vital, especially. Again, like for someone like, it seems to me anyway, for someone like you that's been doing it for a long time, to, like you say, with the vitamin thing and your own curiosity, you need that. I feel you need that.
You need to be creative and express your own self. And part of what I was really gunning for and working on hard when I was younger was developing my own sound, which is really hard. Because there's so much that came before us, right? And trying to develop your own thing. And I thought, I don't know if I'm going to be able to accomplish this. I'm working hard at it. But then all of a sudden, at one point, kind of a while back now, I kind of started to get there a bit. Like I would hear recordings and go, that's kind of what I do. There I am again, listening back to things. That's Fav. That's Fav. That's me. And so I got there a bit. But it's funny because right now I'm playing in a tribute band. and we're playing music of Coldplay. And I love their music. And the craziest thing, Paul, is there's a super enjoyment and challenge to be restricted and to play what somebody else played and to sound like, because I tried to be my own sounding person for so long, to jump into that spot where I'm serving the music 1000%, what this guy did with this music. And I think the music is beautiful. There's some magic chords. It's like that guy, Chris Channels, he just writes this music, especially the old Parachutes record and, all the old, and the band does stuff from the first record till now. And it's been really a lot of fun. And what I'm also enjoying is when you look out at the people, they're all smiling and having fun, and it's a good energy. And like with the fusion bands, they're like this.
Yeah.
Like they're like, what? They're enjoying it, but they're like, looking, and this is just about like a nice back and forth with people, and people are smiling, and sometimes they dance a little bit. It's really cool, and the musicianship in the band is amazing. Everybody's amazing. We really sound close to them, and it's a lot of fun. Very different for me, and the gigs are great. We're getting paid well, and the funny thing in the States here, at least, I think where you are too, it's a really big thing. I mean, there's no ceiling. Like we're getting gigs like all over the country. We're playing theaters. But it's like it's not just it's a thing. It's kind of an up and coming or a happening thing right now, and the work is great. It's been really good. I tell you, it's something I never expected to do, but I'm enjoying it.
I'm delighted. I mean, I think certainly here post COVID, the appetite for people to get together is huge. So there's more opportunities to play.
Yeah.
Which we still got that challenge where, are the artists getting paid proper money for what they do? I think those challenges will be forever. And then of course it's down to the artists to understand their own self-worth as business people as well, isn't it? As well as their art,
Right.
So of course, you've still got that balancing act where people will play for free and that's cool, and or they'll pay for not very much, and you can't stop that, you can't challenge that, but it doesn't help people.
Well, I have, I talk to some friends down here, and one of the conversations is sometimes the truth of the matter is musicians are their worst enemies sometimes. And it's because, we want to play so bad and we love what we do. And so there are bands that will go out and play, hey, just give us a few dollars and a couple of beers or something, and we're playing and we love it. And they bring a lot of people out and the venue's happy, right? But at the end of the day, it's not an overall good thing because it brings down the value of everything. So I've been really fighting against it as hard as I can with this band. I'm basically, with this new band, I had started it with my bass player, Ed, who's just the most amazing guy in the world and a great player. And we started this thing, and then all of a sudden it started to get so busy, and I don't think Ed realized the amount of hours it was going to take to keep it rolling. So I took it over with my LLC, and I've been doing a lot of the bookings and, redlining contracts and putting all this together like I've always done. I don't mind working hard. And what I've done, I said no a lot. And I know venues I would not book, because if the promoters see you play those venues, they know what you get paid, and they're not going to pay you what you need to get paid because, if you're playing over there, why am I going to pay you this much money, right? So I really made sure, and we work a little less because of it, that we only work at the places and venues that really give us what, we're establishing our worth. And I'm really, very rarely do I go outside of that. And it's been 2 years, and we're starting to develop our worth, and our overall price is coming up, and it's you have to be steadfast with that. Not everybody can do it, though. It's the old thing, like, would you rather work 5 times a week a little less, or work once a week and get paid really well? I like the once a week and get paid really well, because when there's a budget for a show, everything's usually done correctly. Once they don't have the budget, you get there, the sound guy doesn't show up, the PA isn't what it was supposed to be. It's just not a good show, and it doesn't go well. When there's a budget and they have skin in the game, there'll be more people coming out as well because they want to promote it like you want to promote it. there's a lot to it. But with all that said, if if Chick Corea was alive and called me to go play for $200, I'd be there. You know, I love Chick. Not that he would, but I'm just saying, like, you know, we all love music, and we have to go play, and, you know, it is what it is. I don't judge anybody for just going out and playing, and even for free just to play. I mean, it's really not about money sometimes. It's really about your art, you know, and you have to balance that. And I tell students it's a hard balance. You know,
it is a hard balance.
Yeah.
It is a hard balance. I mean, you know, you can make those choices much easier when you don't have to worry about money, right?
Right. Yes.
So, you know, and we're in business.
Mm-hmm. Yes, we are.
And one thing that's always impressed me, one of the many things actually that's always impressed me about you is the sound that you want to create on the drums.
Oh, thanks. Yeah.
You know, so, and that, you know, I'm talking about the richness of tone. I'm talking about the precision in your playing. So if you follow that through and you're out there now producing a show, it has to sound right.
And that's the beautiful thing, you know. I'm so spoiled now. We have our own in-ear system, and the sound that we have in our ears is like a record. It's unbelievable. And it's just, everything sounds perfect. And that allows me to play even better because I'm hearing everybody perfectly. You know, we all have our iPads that we can adjust who we want to hear and who we don't want to hear and hear. The days of trying to get the attention of a monitor engineer on the side and I can't hear the vocalist or something, that's over with. And if I need a little more kick, and the kick sounds big, and I spent hours EQing, and then we basically have a tail that goes to front of house, and then they mix us. But our own, we're a closed network, and it allows me to play really, really precise, even more precise, and get exactly the sound I want. And it's been amazing. And you know, going back to my playing has always been a combination of that accuracy and the sound to make it the drum track or the live performance happen. It's always been that way for me. I've always been a little bit of a crazy sound freak. Just, I guess, when I first heard Steve Gadd, and I was also lucky enough to go into New York City a lot during the week, and there was a studio called The Warehouse on 46th Street where they would record record dates and a lot of commercials, and they had Steve Gadd's Yamaha kit in there all the time because he'd come through all the time. So we'd come in at night, and I got to play that exact kit all the time. And the sound was on an SSL console with my headphones on. So ever since those old days of doing that sound was in my head, and, you know, of that great dynamic playing that he has, the hills and the valleys, and the sound, and as you know, being able to play one note and have it just sound so good, you know, just that one note. That was like the Gadd could just throw one thing down, and it was like his feel and the sound of his drums were just like, you don't have to go too crazy. It's already working for you, you know. And then guys like Vinny with the sound in those records, and all the cats, you know.
So where did it start for you then? I mean, obviously you're New York, right? Long Island. I mean, is this around the legend of like the Long Island Drum Center? Is this, or, you know,
it is. The Drum Center is way important part of the development. But it started with my genes, you know, my family. My dad and mom, no music in the household. But once you get back into the Italian side of my family tree, the genetics are all there. I mean, my father didn't play because all his his uncles were all jazz musicians, and they all played trumpet in like Benny Goodman's band, Paul Whitman's big band, back in the day, the dance bands. They were on the road, and they obviously were doing the wrong thing, and they all kind of died a little bit early. And so when my dad went to pick up the trumpet, like his uncles and his granddad, she said, no, my Italian grandma, no, you know, she wasn't going to have it. And he didn't have the passion, so he just didn't do it, right? But that's where I get it from. And my great-grandfather was a professor of music in Milano, Italy. And then he came to New York. So it's in the genes, right? So my dad didn't play, and he wasn't particularly happy that I wanted to be a musician at first. Okay. And so I always wanted to play typical. I mean, this is, you know, everybody hitting pots and pans. It was always in there. I'd go to friends' houses that had drums, but when I was 12, I couldn't take it anymore. And I saved up some money, and I bought a drum set, and I wheeled it home in a shopping cart. And my dad was like, all right, this is going to happen, I guess, when he saw me, like, put my own money down and wheel this little jumpy thing up. And they were supportive ever since then. And so it just started with the passion and wanting to play so bad. And then, when I was 17 or 16, meeting Dom Famularo,
Oh, yeah,
right?
okay, right.
In my hometown, that story, I'm sure, from all the memorial stuff, he did a clinic at my high school.
Yeah.
And I stop at a stoplight on the main strip on Long Island in our hometown. We both were in Baldwin, Long Island. And I look over and I'm like, you just played a clinic. And he jumps out of the car. He gives me drumsticks and takes off. It's typical Dom crazy. I know you probably heard this story a lot, but anyway,
yeah, I love it though. Yeah.
But that was the start of me getting into the Long Island Drum Center. So I took a couple of lessons with Dom for a while. He saw some potential. And I was really, when I met Dom, I was very like, I'm doing this. So I was like no hanging out, no partying, just focused on drums. I was disciplined. Yeah. And he said, you got to come to a meeting at the Drum Center and you got to perform one of the pieces you wrote on snare drum. I'm like, really? And it was like, I go to this meeting, it's like, Joe Franco's there, Jim Chapin, Al Miller, who was, Frank Bellucci was there. All these amazing drummers. Hope I don't forget anybody. But, and I'm playing this piece, and I started teaching there. And it was great. I used to teach next to Jim Chapin and, and take lessons with Jim and teach there and Dom. And it was a great, that drum center really was amazing. And one of the coolest things was back then, once a month they had a main guy come and do a clinic. Once a month.
Yeah.
It was Garibaldi, it was Simon Phillips, it was whoever was, kind of coming through, or, the different drum company sponsors would have. So I'm taking private lessons with these guys. I'm going into Manhattan at Drummers Collective and studying and practicing and playing around town. So it was the Long Island thing is close to Manhattan, and it's kind of, you have that fruitful thing, and, and don't forget, we didn't have YouTube back then. So we had to go into New York City.
That's the thing.
And watch and learn and take the lesson. I used to drive up to Westchester, over the bridge into Westchester, and I used to take the drum lessons with Joe Bonadio, who was a prime student of Gary Chester from the New Breed book. And I called Gary, but he was not doing well, and then he passed away. And so I found out who his great student was that he could pass it along, and Joe Bonadio was a really big help to me, as Dom was, and Al Miller and Jim Chapin. So that's the whole New York thing there. Was very fruitful, but you had to be there. You couldn't go online and do the YouTube thing. Roy Haynes, the great Roy Haynes, lived down the road from me, 15 minutes from me, and I got his number when I was 18. I'm like, hey, Mr. Haynes, this is John. I'm down the road. I want to take a lesson. I'm crazy, right? Who does that, right? Yeah. And he's like, no, John, you just come into the city and watch me play. Sit next to me and watch me. That's how I learned from him. It wasn't going to be a lesson, because it was just, everybody was in New York City playing too, so you learned. You watched, live.
It's, I'm smiling ear to ear, right? Because there's, I was lucky enough to, I knew Dom, I knew Jim. I met Frank Bellucci once, and he was absolutely lovely. But for me in Nottingham, which is like a mid-sized city, this was literally like another world that you're describing, and the access to this world was from magazines like Modern Drummer.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And then of course the art, the records.
Yes.
Yes. And not all of those were easily obtained. Especially like the GRP stuff. That was harder to get. So of course people like Gad would transcend that, wouldn't they? They would do a lot of popular work, let's say, for lack of better terms.
Yeah.
As well as the fusion thing. But you're right. I mean, growing up in a time when there was no YouTube, you had to go to a drum store, you had to go to a clinic, and then of course
a music venue, right? Or a music venue.
Absolutely, yeah. And then of course you'd get to shake hands, and it's different. For me, maybe I'm romanticizing about it. Maybe that's rose tinted glasses and stuff. But I wouldn't have met you otherwise.
Well, I still believe, and the online thing is amazing. I love it. I use it in every way possible. And, there's some pros and cons, of course. But I still believe boots on the ground, handshaking, seeing people in person. You get a lot done. I mean, some of these younger guys want to only do the online thing. And, there's a big reach. It's not a bad thing. But for me, there's something about that connection and, like you said, shaking hands and then being out there playing, and then one thing leads to the next, and it's like he saw you on this gig. That stuff still exists and is still really important. But I tell like some of the students that having the online represented really well was important. So that's kind of your resume. So when you meet somebody and maybe you weren't playing, but you were out at a music event, you say, well, hey man, check it. I do play that style. Why don't you go to my YouTube channel? And then it has to be great so they can see you. So you have to have it. There's not one or the other, but but you need to get off the couch and shake some hands and get out there, and you'll get inspired too. I mean, there's nothing like live music. I mean, nothing. Live music is. I just saw Todd play with Styx like last week. Todd Zuckerman, and I know him for many, many years now, and he's just the greatest guy, and he's so gracious and kind to everybody he meets. And we become friendly, and I get to go backstage and hang with him every time he plays. And I've seen them 12, 15 times. Every year he'd come to Jones Beach Amphitheater on Long Island. I'd go see him. We'd hang out, and then we'd see him at trade shows and all that. And saying that all to say, it's like I just saw them play, and I hadn't seen him maybe in 2 years, and it was just crazy good. The band was amazing. Of course, he just sounds brilliant. And, you're watching this thing come at you live. It's different than watching, he posts a lot of videos, but boy, is it great to see it right there live and the feeling of it and great. And then you go back and hang out with him, and he's just the kindest person. And he's just, I know him a long time, but somebody comes by that, once, he's so nice to them. And so he's such a cool dude like that. And so again, lovely, same thing, meeting people, shaking hands, hanging out, and having these, relationship. It's about relationships, right?
Yeah. You're right. I mean, I've not met Todd. I mean, but most people I've met have been absolutely lovely.
Yeah.
And really kind to me. And I sometimes I used to find myself in situations where it's like, how is this even happening? Like I'd be having dinner with David Garibaldi, or I'd be in a bar with you. We'd be laughing our heads off about this, all kinds of things, and you'd be kind of on the edge of stuff that's happening. That that you're like, okay, we'll keep that between ourselves, but that's like hilarious. Do you know what I mean? And but what I find really interesting about drummers is that they love drummers and they love drums.
Yes.
And
it's true. It's just the way it is. We've been saying that for a long time, and it hasn't changed. It's always like that, right?
Yeah. And and especially with like characters like Dom and Jim. I mean, we talk about them on like first name terms because obviously we know them, and you knew both. I would suspect a lot deeper than I did. I mean, and for longer, but. It's important to me, at least, and I know it is to you. Like we're preaching to the choir here, but like it's really important that these names live on.
Yep. Yes. That's very interesting
and
conversation. A very interesting conversation is legacy, and I think it's different today. I thought about legacy a lot. I have 5 or 6 CDs out on my own. And I've always felt like, this is part of my legacy. I have the drum method book out. It's part of my legacy. And so I take everything very seriously. But on the other hand, there's so much content in the world these days. And there's so much out there that we have to keep these people alive. It's not going to stay, their legacy isn't going to stay out front on its own. Because that's how I feel. I'm not sure. But I just feel like there's so much that I'm not every single, you have to almost look people up these days because there's so I think there's 40,000 new songs a day going up on Spotify and all these videos going up, and there's so much. So we have these stories and these people mean so much to us, and their legacy is their legacy and it will be there. But I think it's just different because there's so many of videos and so many drummers and great people out there that it's not like it used to be. Whereas, those CDs, those hard copies, with like you said, hard to find too. And I used to go into downtown Manhattan to the Tower Records, believe it or not, to get these GRP records that you couldn't find certain places, like before Spotify. And we had a thing on Sunday mornings. We drive into Manhattan because it was really quick to drive in on Sunday morning, and we go to downtown Tower and we get the latest whatever it was, and even imports that things you couldn't find in the local record stores, like the imports from Steve Gadd Steps Ahead from Tokyo, and like the Cuban bands like Batu Kombeli and these Irakere. They only had these little import in this special section, and then all the old imports and live things of all these fusion artists and world artists, and now it's all on Spotify. It's all there. I was like, when Spotify first came out, I'm like, they're never gonna have this. I'm like, it's there. It's all there.
Yeah. I mean, I forget the name of it. There's a real small record store in a subway station in New York, and the music that I just get as much as I could.
Yeah.
Cuban music, and then of course, like whenever I was in LA, you'd get, like I spoke about this before. Like you go to Virgin Megastore and you'd get different music.
Yes,
everything. And it was the only way, because obviously, like, radio in the UK, it's different now because of digital radio, but back in the day it'd be pop music, right? Or pop or rock or whatever, but it wouldn't have the breadth, and I couldn't search for you as an example and then
right,
come up with a playlist like my John Fav playlist.
I know. But it's interesting you say that. When I used to go and buy all those, when the CDs came out, or even LPs, there would always be, especially in the instrumental world, like the music in New York, they had every kind of station, the classic rock, the rock, classical, jazz. When I was in Europe when I was young doing tours throughout Germany and Czech Republic, the radio seemed to play everything. There was not a style. It seemed like they'd have a classical piece and then a jazz piece and a pop. I love that. Where we were very categorized in the States, at least in New York. And I used to go to the stores and look on the CDs for who were the musicians. I didn't even know the artists sometimes. Because, Vinnie Colaiuta did hundreds of sessions. So when I saw his name on a CD, I don't know who the guy is, but I'm thinking if Vinnie's on it, I want to hear it. And I buy it. Yeah. And now you see these CDs that come out, or like, virtuals, you don't know who's on them. Sometimes they don't even say who plays. Even if you look back and you go to an old Motown with John Robinson or something on it, it's a Shaka Khan record, but on the Spotify it doesn't say who played the drums on it a lot of times. They're starting to do that now a little more. There's some more info on some of this stuff, but it's not as easy as it was, where you can just look on the back of the record and usually see who was on it. And I'd buy a lot of records that way, and that's why I think about the legacy too. Like, I'm doing an amazing project right now. There's an artist named Cam Falk, and he writes really great fusion music. He's a bass player, keyboard player, and producer, engineer. And it's an honor to work with him. He says to me, John, I'm writing these songs for your drumming. What an honor. I know you're drumming, and I'm writing this for you. Like, wow, what do you say to that? Man, it's amazing. Yeah. It's like humble and like, wow, now all of a sudden I gotta play really great. But besides that, the reason I mention this to you, because we're doing a couple in a row, and then eventually we'll do a couple more, and he's gonna put the CD together as a package, but he's been releasing one at a time.
Yeah, okay.
A couple of the songs you don't even know I play on them. And you'll never find it because it's not in, when he puts it up on Spotify, you have to put the players and tag them right away or something. I'm not really sure. So you have to really be, when you're a new artist, if you want the players to be known, you have to kind of do it as you're posting, I think. And just to say about the legacy, like, I have some stuff out there right now that you wouldn't be able to find, not unless I gave you the link.
Yeah, okay.
So that's a thing I think about, like, this is a really nice piece of music. I want people to hear it. But even if they search for me, they probably won't find it. So I always put it on my website, of course, so people can get to it. but it's the overall picture is different. It's not right up front like it used to be.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I share that curiosity. I wanted to know who was on it, where it was recorded.
Yeah, yeah, all
'cause
that stuff.
It was all part of the dream.
Yeah,
and with social media, things are seemingly more available. Like you can have a look around a recording studio, on an Instagram thing.
Yeah, yeah.
But equally, they are still equally unattainable. You still, like you say, you still have to put boots on the ground. You still have to shake some hands. You have to network. And I remember you saying to me, 15 years ago. I remember you saying to me, in New York, nobody asks whether you can play or not.
That's right.
Everybody can play.
Yeah.
So why are they gonna call
right
me, you, or Mike Sorrentino, or why are they gonna
Yeah.
It's the network, right?
And I think it's also it's even more so. I mean, the players out there, I just assume everybody plays great, and then what's going to separate you, right? That's why I was really into getting my own sound for a while, and I still am. I'll be recording my own stuff again too, and it's real important that I have that. But it's assumed you play great, so you better have everything else, all the other skills together, And I think that goes for today. I mean, a lot of the younger players are playing great, and it's about relationships, and then sometimes it's about being specialized. So people call you because you're not the only one that does that, but it's in your wheelhouse. Like Cam called me because he loved my fusion playing, and then when we got to be friends, we have the same CD collection. Like it's amazing. We didn't know each other, but I remember the Yellow Jackets, that record, and the old this and that, the Michelle Camilo stuff with Remember, and I saw that stuff before the records were out up at McKell's on 98th Street with Weckl and Anthony Jackson and Michelle Camilo. It was crazy. You walk into this club and they're just playing that stuff you never heard it before, and you're like, what is this?
Yeah.
And that's interesting too when you think about music. And the level of drumming is all about a timeline, right? That stuff sounds just normal today, but back, oh man, so long ago, I don't even know what year it was when I used to go and see them play in Manhattan, but when those first Michelle Camilo records came out, was it 94 or something like that, a real long time ago? And, you went to this club and you hear this vibe in Manhattan, go see this band, and you walk in and you hear this stuff, and it's like, you never heard that before. Anthony Jackson and Michelle Camilo. I mean, it wasn't. Now it's like, it's every day. But it's timeline. When that stuff was recorded, it was pretty groundbreaking. And now I'm still catching up to some of that stuff. All right, now it's amazing how your ears develop. Like I can put on like an electric band record, and I can see in my head all the music, like what it looks like. But back in the day, I was like, I didn't know what was happening to me. It was just all this stuff coming at me, and all these hits and these unison lines. And now my ears are really great. I hear everything, but it took a long. I had to catch up.
It's really funny you put it in those terms, because I like, you live in the now, don't you? And you look forward, but I kind of forgot. I mean, there's like I can remember the first time hearing Michelle Camilo, the Electric Band, and I'm thinking, what's going on? Like, because my teacher didn't play that way, so I wasn't taught that way.
Yeah.
So there was a massive disconnect between like my first serious drum lessons, let's say, and then discovering what was going on.
Right. So at that point, you have to kind of change course a little bit, right? You have to, if I want to kind of get that under my playing a little bit, where do I get that? And back when that happened, it was a challenge. Today, you go to YouTube and it's pretty much spelled out for you, and there's lineage of what these guys, who they studied with, and you can see, Vinny's influences, Tony Williams, his influence, and it's all out there. It was out there when I was younger. I'd ask my teacher, and all my teachers would give me great CDs to listen to and recommend, and especially Joe Bonadio, who is like, his CD collection was insane. He was like a library. Like if you want to learn something, it's right here. This is what you grab. He had like every Coltrane record, every Miles record, every Chick Corea electric band. He had pop stuff, Peter Gabriel, everything you can imagine. And it's like, it's all. But when you said, like, when it first came out and you're studying with this certain teacher, this is a different. You have to kind of change courses, which is kind of what happened with me and Dom. When Dom was amazing to me. We just talked about him the other day, how my hands are in such good shape to this day. I'm playing better than I ever did. It's crazy. I don't know how this happens. It's all these years, and I'm growing. I'm getting better. I'm getting faster. I'm getting I'm connecting my thoughts with my chops. And everything's working great. And part of that is I'm not having any physical problems because I approached the drum set, like Dom showed me, with getting my hands to do the free stroke and relax and work hard but not strain. These are things that if I didn't have that foundation, I'd probably be sitting in a different place right now, with my drumming. Yeah. And but I remember when I was with Dom, and then all of a sudden I heard those different things. I kind of said, well, who's in Manhattan that could show me this, that can open me up? And what do I, we had to ask what to practice back then. It wasn't just all spelled out. And one of the things that came up was, to play sessions and do a lot of stuff like Gad did, and Vinny was get the Gary Chester book. That was like a big, this is really like when the book didn't even exist really. It was Gary the way he taught it. It was his method. Yeah, and how he kind of did the reading and the ostinatos and reading on all different limbs and really getting your sight reading together. And all the guys that I was listening to had gone through his stuff. So I was like, okay, I got to get with that, and then I heard, some of these guys play swing. I'm like, well, they're not the original. Let's get a person and let's study like Tony Williams and who's going to help me get that kind of stuff. And then when the Cuban thing was getting with Horacio with the left foot clave and all the Cuban and Michelle Camilo stuff, I hooked up with Mark Walker in New York City, and he was playing with Paquito de Rivera at the time. So he showed me clave and cascada and how to do all that. And then, it's just like you said, you have to pivot, because it's such a broad thing. If you're that kind of player, some players want to play one style and they want to, I own this. And this is what I do. I'm a funk player, backbeat, that's it. And nobody can play it like me. And I love that too. But I was a session guy that wanted to play everything because I really loved everything. I just liked all kinds of music. And I don't know what teacher told me when I was young. I don't remember, but somebody said to me when I was really young, if you want to be a pro, you have to play every style of music in New York City. And when the phone rings, you go play. If the phone rings and you say, I don't know how to play that style of music, you have to play everything. So, one of my goals was to learn all these different styles. And even when I was playing weddings, you're playing music from the 20s, the 30s. Back then, you played a whole gamut of swing music and all stuff. So the versatility was really important back then to be a pro. Now, as I'm a bit older, I'm a little more focused and narrow on what I like and what I want to do. It's amazing how that works. I don't know if you felt that way too. It's like, okay, when I was young, I wanted to play everything because I wanted to play it and I really got inspired. But now I'm kind of like only certain things are inspiring me. So that's really where I'm kind of going towards. I'm a little more narrow. I still love a lot of things, but I don't have the feeling in me because I can play a lot of styles now. I have it under my belt. Yeah. So now I choose what I really, what's moving me. I like a lot of worship music. I don't know if you heard some of those big worship bands that play in the big churches here. Yeah. Unbelievable, some of the musicianship in those songs. I love that, to John Coltrane, to and it's amazing where I go with the music these days. But I guess saying all that to say, I really kind of follow what's really moving me at the time. And I don't have to play everything because I have to be that kind of drummer that plays everything. Like I haven't really dived into certain styles in a while. They're still there, I'm sure, but I've been really kind of focused on what's moving me.
Yeah, no, I understand that, and I agree. For me, growing up, curiosity was killing the cat.
Okay.
Because I'd quickly run down that direction and try and play that. Yes. And then I'd meet somebody or listen to somebody and then, now I've got to do that.
Yep.
And it meant that it meant that as a working drummer, I was working a lot.
Yeah.
I could read very well.
Yes.
I studied with Jim for about 6 years when he would come to the UK, and then I would catch up with him in Frankfurt and then in New York. But he taught me how to swing and how to read big band charts.
Yes, exactly.
And how to solo while scatting, you know.
Yes.
So then that prepared me to get into a Rat Pack tribute show.
Awesome. Was that fun or what? That sounded like it must have been great.
Yeah. I mean, we had a Frank, we had a Dino, and we had a Sammy, and they were
Cool. Yeah.
they were doppelgangers, right?
Yeah.
So they look like, I mean, I say this with all the love in the world, they looked like them more than they sounded like them, but that carried the show.
Yeah.
But the big band behind them, we were swinging like a freight train. I mean, we were on it.
Yeah.
So the stuff that I'd learned to play, and then working in that band, I felt like I learned how to swing,
and how to drive a band, and how to play ensemble figures with the band. I mean, all that fusion stuff was based off of big band drumming with all the hits and the stops and the unison. That was all. I was lucky that when I was young, there was still a lot of active big bands on Long Island in New York. And I don't know if that's happening now, but I got to play in I guess some of them were just rehearsal bands. You'd show up and, they would have the book and they would call the numbers. Right.
Yeah.
People my students don't understand that. Like, why do they call a song a number? Because it was a chart number. The guy go 36. And if you didn't grab that thing and get to 36, you missed it. You're like 36, 1, 2, 1. And you're like, just
still
oh, it was crazy, and then trying to read this stuff straight. And you could never memorize the book because there was 300 charts in the book. So you had to read, right? You had to read all that big band stuff. My reading was really great back then. I would have to I read well now, but I'd have to hit a big band right now. That'd be pretty interesting.
No, I don't think I could do it right now. I'm happy to confess that. I still read because I still have a book on my music stand, or if I'm writing.
But that's a different thing. That big band, check out and that, all that, and just it's good.
Yeah,
it's good.
I'd have to practice, right?
Yeah.
So then bringing it round to what inspires me now and my art now. Even if I'm the healthiest person on the planet and all of that, I figure that I've got more behind me than I have in front of me. Right? That's the reality.
I think that's where we're at. Yeah.
Yeah, I think, and I don't mean that in a macabre way. I don't mean that in a melancholic way. I'm happy. I'm good. But that helps me focus on what I actually want to do.
Exactly what I was saying before. It's like at this stage, let's do what we love and what we want to do. Let's not waste any time, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So that helps me focus on even when I'm practicing.
Yeah.
I can be inspired by you, and I am inspired by you, but and that helps me do what I'm doing.
Yep.
And it's not necessarily the same thing, but we're both sat at a drum set.
Yeah. And I like the fact what you said earlier too, which I think we all went through, that is like, I want to play that. You get run around, and all of a sudden you get to a point where you say to yourself, you know what? I can't be the jack of all trades. I got to focus on a few things here because I'm pulling myself in too many directions. But what I learned from that too, though, that's how I was thinking at one stage. But at the end of the day, through time, it all becomes just music. It really does. It just becomes music. All the styles will, if you keep yourself physically fit and your chops and your brain and your reading is up to speed and you can understand it, it's just about interpretation and changing little things to make those styles. But when you're younger, it seems like this. It's like everything is separated, and you're running around with your chicken. You're like, it's too much,
Yeah. And also, there wasn't for me locally, there wasn't the scene.
Okay. Yeah.
There was in Nottingham now. The scene is incredible.
I bet.
From university bands, we've got arenas, we've got rock clubs. You've seen the club that I used to play at, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's there's the variety. It's not London, it's not Manchester, it's not New York. So it's got its own thing kind of cooking. It's got its own thing going on.
Which is awesome.
Yeah. But what for me when I'd visit New York as an example, it's kind of overwhelming.
Yeah.
You know, the level of what's going on, but also the quantity. Like it's maybe it isn't everywhere. Maybe again I'm romanticizing. Maybe I felt like it was everywhere because I was seeking it out. You know, if I'd go to the Birdland on a Friday afternoon to watch Tommy Igoe, you know, and then all those players would disperse and go onto Broadway.
Yep, all over the place. Every night there's something going on. Every style. That's the thing with New York City. Every style is represented. Everything, and the clubs would be, some of them specialized and some of them just open to anything. And you've always had. I mean, there's so many venues that I played in Manhattan that aren't there anymore. And some of them, my favorite ones, like they did everything. Like there was a place on West 3rd down the road from the Blue Note called Visionis. And that became like, it became an R&B club, but it was back in when it was like an instrumental music place. So people playing all kinds of styles from like world music and Cuban to fusion to swing to straight ahead to, I mean, everything in that place. And it was such a great place to hang. And then right down the road is the Blue Note, you know, and you get to see the, you know, I guess the real A-level kind of people hitting that. But then they had Lincoln Center Jazz, and you know, it's like, and you know, all the stuff on Bleecker and the Village Gate, the Village Vanguard, Sweet Basil. I saw Art Blakey play at Sweet Basil was a club, and I remember seeing Blakey there. I was so glad because, you know, he was getting older. It's crazy, you know, what was going on there every single night. And then, like you said, are we fantasizing this amazing time? And there's a little bit of nostalgia there. But I remember talking to Jim Chapin, and it's always changes a bit. Like when he was there, 52nd Street was insane. There was like 30 clubs every single night of the week. He was in there every single night. He felt when he was a bit older, and I was talking to him, that those days were over. And, you know, Manhattan, but it still was pretty, in my mind, Manhattan was still kind of going, but it wasn't like Jim's day, you know. And then now, you know, 20 years later, it's not the same, but, you know, there's still a lot going on. And it's constantly changing. And, you know, don't forget, back in Jim's time, there was no Netflix. There was no, you know, you had to go to the movies to watch a movie, and you wanted to see music, you had to go to a club. So it was just crazy, right? You know.
Yeah. I mean, I remember, you know, speaking of Chapin, like he would come to us. When I met him, he seemed to be on like a continuous world tour. You know, just doing the clinics.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I got to know him. And had a private. It's a guy called Malcolm that used to fix all in the UK that used to fix all of his work. A lovely guy.
I think I remember Malcolm.
Yeah,
I think so.
Sweet man. You know, yeah. So I said to him, to Malcolm, this is. Do you think like I could have a private lesson with Jim? He's like, absolutely. You know, but don't book an hour. So waste the time and money. Like book a morning at least.
Yeah.
You know, so I did, and I remember I came out that first lesson and I was shell shocked. I didn't because I had a mini disc recorder.
Right, yeah.
Right, so I recorded the lesson because I didn't understand what was going on. Okay. His mind would move too quick. His mind would move quicker than his speech.
Yes.
You know,
I know.
I mean, you know, right? So he'd be telling stories, and then he'd remember that he was trying to teach you.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And anyway, this kind of developed into some of my students would want to study with him, and then so from this one clinic every 6 months, he would come for a week every 6 months. And then we hit on the idea that why don't we put on a gig with some of the best players locally where Jim could sit in and
That's
swing.
Cool. Yeah.
And we did that. We did that only once. And he had, I mean, we all were in awe, but he had, you know, he had a great night. He was singing.
Oh yeah, he scats, he sings, he plays.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I, he said to me like, nobody asks me if I can play. Because I mean, you can see it in your mind's eye. He would turn up. He'd have a pad and a pair of sticks under his arm.
Always, yeah.
And there was that disconnect where, at least for us anyway, over here, where we'd not experienced him as a player.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I haven't. I only saw Dom play a gig once. So you have to catch these people at the right time.
Yeah, because I think back then too, Jim and Dom, their travel tours were drum oriented. So if you didn't live in the New York area, Dom would go play a local gig and play around, but he wasn't on the road doing that. And same with Jim, we'd go see Jim at certain places play, and it would be great. But when he was on the road, he was really the drum end of things, the drum teacher thing, not the playing thing, I guess, with some of that stuff. But one thing with Jim, just reminds me, he's the kind of guy that would always make you feel good about yourself. Some teachers would be like, put you down a little bit or push you to make you maybe work harder or, that kind of thing. Jim always would make you feel confident, at least to me. Maybe just to me, maybe he thought I needed it, but I always left him like, man, he would say things like, Fav, man, your hands are just as good as that guy, or he's always making you feel good. It was never a negative thing like, yeah, you know what, you didn't, that right hand, you got, whatever it was. The chart, he would always be positive, and he always made me feel good. And, he'd be at NAMM, he'd pull me over, show him your hands, show him your hands. He was always, it was a positive thing. It was never, because some of the teachers sometimes would be a little bit more, and that's, call it like it is. If the guy isn't playing like you want to and you need to push him a little bit, but sometimes it got a little bit, I guess some would say some people teach through intimidation a little bit, which I never liked that style. Like, you're really not doing well if you want to be, you got to do this and study with me because, you're never going to do, that kind of stuff. Jim was just always made you feel good. That's one of my memories from him. Is like, he just always was nice to me and always was respectful and just, I don't know, great. And his stories were always, he was all over the place, which we all love. Just like I'm all over the place. All us musicians are, scatterbrained.
I guess maybe it's because we don't see each other so often.
Yes.
So
well. Yeah.
Like we need to, we kind of throw it all in, even in our conversation today. We're just throwing it in,
throwing it all in. Yeah, it's a lot. Yeah. But it's nice when you have good friends and you can just speak like, we're speaking like we just were hanging last week.
Yeah.
That's the good thing too. It's between being drummers and being friends, we could just, if we don't talk again for a long time, we just catch back up and we're doing it,
That's wonderful, Yeah, it is lovely. It's rare. It's because you could just pick it, like you say, just pick it up and move it on, Yeah. And it's fascinating. I mean, I remember some of my most fond memories of Jim and Dom are actually not related to the drums, and it's the same. It's the same with you as well. That's how commonality. That's what binds us. I love for the art form and
and it's a personality. It's a drummers were just a certain thing. We just get each other very easily. I think we really do. I know it's a cliche, but I mean, it hasn't changed. I meet new people all the time. It just seems to be the same thing. We just kind of fall into we speak the same language in a way.
Yeah. Where do you find that your students are at these days? I mean, are they still studying the kind of things that you and I might have studied, the classic textbooks, let's say, or what are they looking for in the south of Florida?
Well, I can say I don't have a lot of students right now, but I've been teaching down here. I do have students down here, and what I can tell is some of them want to always go to a video, and that's what they look for in practicing, and they're not getting the one-on-one. So when I'm there with them, I really try to get touch points and see things that they need help on that they're not getting from the video stuff. Because they'll come to me and go, I want to play like this guy. And I check out this hand technique thing. And by the way, the videos are amazing. You know, you see the close-up of the grip, and you see the close-up and the notation on the body, all the great stuff. Like, the videos we all have. I have good videos out. You have good videos out, education-wise. But they can only get so much on their own for whatever reason. So, like, I had a guy that wanted to play really fast in, like, a speed metal thing recently. And he didn't want to do what I knew would get him there. You know, I was trying to get him to buckle down on it. I just knew where to go. And he wanted to watch the videos, and the guy says, no, it's only French timpani, only with the finger. I said, yeah, but you're not going to control it. If you only have the only fingers running and it's real quick, you're not going to be able to control that speed. You need all the muscle groupings. You need the free strokes, the half strokes. So look, you got to do a little bit of everything. And he was just speed. And, you know, he's watching videos that just show these guys going, but they don't show you everything. So they get stuck on a video that's really excellent video, don't get me wrong, but they're not getting all the pieces of the puzzle. So a lot of times I try to get the students to put the puzzles together, right? And then I'm lucky, a couple of guys I taught recently down here, I had seen them play live, or I went to a drum hang and the guys were drumming, and I looked at a couple of them and I was like, that guy could be a really good player, but I know what he needs to work on. I just said it to myself. His bass drum placement wasn't solid. So it was just like if he's playing 1 E and 3, 4 and 1 E and on the kick, right? It was just not placed 100%, and his groove didn't feel great. And I was like, I said, man, if I ever teach that guy, I know exactly what to make him, better. And it turns out 2 years later, all of a sudden I'm teaching him. So so it was really great because we got the FaceTime together. He just was into learning and into what I was showing him. So I went through my elements book with him. So I got basically connecting his technique with his thoughts, the counting process. And then I worked on his bass drum subdivision. But he couldn't get the subdivision down to really be solid without knowing each subdivision 100%. He was guessing. He's hearing 1 1 but it was like, it wasn't the 1 E and it was like kind of in between. It wasn't spaced right because he didn't really know. So when he came to me, I kind of knew what to do, and I did quite a few different things with him, and it was awesome teaching, and he went on, he's playing amazing gigs, and he's doing great. The last other guy I was talking to you about that I knew what to do, he ended up not taking some lessons again because he just felt like I wasn't the right guy for him or something. I expected it, and it was totally fine, but I knew exactly what to show him, and we'll see what happens if he'll come back or not. But, so I guess to answer the question, it seems to be a combination for me of looking at where they are now, where they want to go, and then basically what they've gotten on their own, and then if they allow me to share where I think will get them where they want to go fast, And I love teaching still, by the way, which is incredible. All these years, I love the one-on-one. I love teaching still. I don't know why. A lot of my friends got burnt out. I guess I don't do a lot of it. So when they come to me, come to me because they have my book or they've seen me do something. So it's a little more that way. But I still love teaching. It kind of blows my mind.
I think I mean you're. I think it's the whole John Fav thing that's the infectious, like your desire for the art, for life, for people. That's why I think, if that stops, then there's a problem. You know?
Well, I appreciate. It's again what you said, just the one-on-one and having conversations and relating is a really good thing to do. And I think, looking back on all the lessons I took when I was young, it wasn't only the information and techniques. It was person knowing me and even helping me with business or helping me get to my goals or helping me if I'm having a bad day and being a little more of a mentor. I mean, that's all part of the teaching thing too, is the relationship that comes along with it,
Do you find that people have that faith or that patience to actually connect with you as a teacher for that long? Or do they want instant results?
Well, I would say it's a combination, but the last few that I had that really worked out really great student-wise, they would take lessons for quite a long time as far as months going by, but also I'm kind of like, I don't look at the clock. So my hour lesson is definitely an hour and a half. Sometimes it goes an hour and 45. I'm in there. I'm into it, and I charge really great money, so I'm not lacking. Some people say, well, you get what you pay for, and you got to be strict with your time. And I'm in there to get the student to the best he can be, and so I seem to hold their attention for an hour and a half or so that's good. And they seem to study for quite a while. But there are some that want things really quick, because they're exposed to all this drumming online. These even my good friend Derek Roddy would always say, me and Derek are very, very close. He lives about a half an hour south of me. And we met in 2005 at the Cape Breton Festival in Nova Scotia.
Okay.
And we've been friends ever since. And he always would say when people asked him, how do you get your feet so fast? He was one of the pioneers with the speed metal, with the bass drums, And he would say it's a 10-year process to get where I am now to where, it's a process. You don't just start playing at, 300 beats per minute, all that kind of stuff. It takes time. You got to put it in. And so hopefully people realize that it is a process, but they do see the end result a lot by they just turn on YouTube and the end result is there. So it takes discipline and consistent practicing. You got to do it kind of every day. And I still practice all the time. I over practice. I mean, I have a gig coming up in a week with the Coldplay tribute. I'm going to dive into it, man. I mean, it's like, I'll do a couple hours before they just, and the same, I know this set inside and out, but I just feel like I got to dive in and it's getting better and better and I'm really seeing it. And it's just really, I love to practice. So, and people can feel that on the bandstand, whoever's really prepared, it locks and people, when somebody hasn't looked at the stuff in a while or,
people can only relax and take it to the level when everyone knows what they're doing.
Yep.
And
it's
of course,
a team sport. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And then of course they can feel it when someone's not where they should be.
Yes.
And then the audience feels it.
100%. And especially the band, you can get away with it a little bit, but I know that, but I'm lucky. These guys are top-notch pros, and they take it seriously. And the last thing I worry now about this band I'm playing, it's called Life in Technicolor, tribute to Coldplay, and it's we play now. Like in the beginning, I was worried about the guitar player playing the right line. We had an old guitar player dude, and everybody's on it now. Like the last thing I worry about when I get to the shows is that we're going to play great because we're playing great. It wasn't like that at first. But it's like that now. I mean, I don't worry about the music is at a high level. There's a million other things I'm thinking about when I'm there, as you know. So, but it's that's the beautiful thing. Is like we go and we're playing well, and the music's flowing now. The 2-hour set goes by like that,
And it goes back to what you said to me a million years ago. Is that it's a different way of saying everybody can play. Like everybody has to be at that level.
Yes.
So that you can focus on being the band leader, or
Well, it has to be at that level so the music is played, just flows, right?
Yeah.
You've been on gigs when, for whatever reason, maybe in the beginning stages of a band or something, you can hear it. It's not locked. It's something that's happening, and then you're thinking too much about the music. When it happens, and everybody, you're as strong as your weakest link, right? So when everybody's really strong, it's just flowing, and you're really playing music. That's when the music is happening. Or else you're thinking, or somebody's throwing you off, or and you kind of think, is it me? You're having those internal thoughts, like, why is it not? Is it me? And then, or the second you're thinking like that, you're not in the moment, right?
You've lost the pocket, and So I'm going to tell you this. I released some music about a month ago, and one of the tracks is called "Echoes of the Deep Blue." And the second movement in there is all inspired by your Elements book.
Oh, really? Seriously?
Yeah.
Well, that's really nice, man. That's my honor, man. And I'll tell you, I got to check this out, and you got to tell me more about this now, because I have in my Elements book, if you noticed, I have written there, highlighted when I think Elements when I'm soloing on some of my CDs. So that you're saying to this to me, I kind of get what you're saying right away, because you basically were thinking in this kind of Elements is a thought process, really, right?
Yeah.
So explain a little more if you don't mind.
Well, so it's a Steve Vai tribute. This track.
All right.
And it starts in halftime.
Okay.
So then I wanted to bring it up to to a tempo, to give it like 2 backbeats, and then I wanted to take it somewhere else, and I needed elements for my solo.
All right, there you go. Yeah.
So in the kind of second act of it, there's a whole minute long solo, and it's highly syncopated. It's tense.
Nice.
But it came from your book, bringing the elements together.
That's amazing. Well, and that's what it is. It's a foundation. It's what we jump off of. If we, if you're thinking elements, it's basically the building block of the solo. And if you move them around, and it's also able to keep yourself in place. Like when I'm soloing, I try not to think too much, because I'm just grabbing all my vocabulary, and that's what the improvisation is. It's grabbing this and grabbing that spontaneously. But a lot of times I'm thinking of the elements, and you would never know that I'm thinking of element 10, because it's so much more on top of it. You know what I mean? But it's keeping me with the click. You know what I mean? Yeah. So when you really kind of stretched out, the elements were there for you.
Because you have to hang on to something, right?
Yes, 100%. Especially in music where in today's day and age, where we're playing maybe a 16 or 32 bar solo, or if we have to play the solo into some hits, we have to know where we are. We can't be guessing, right?
Yeah. So all the way throughout, I mean, if you listen to it, you'll hear it. Like you can hear my left foot going all the time, right?
Cool.
So I said to the guy who mastered it, like, please leave that in.
Right. Yeah. Why not? Yeah. Sure.
Yeah. Why not?
Sure. Yeah.
Because
it's you playing.
Yes. It's literally me doing it.
Yeah.
But I thought I'd just drop that in there for you.
I appreciate it. That's great.
Yeah.
Having a, as you know, being an author, you hear these stories, and that's the beauty of this. Again, a little bit of a legacy, a little bit of sharing what you know. You have to share everything, and pass it back on, and it's always nice to have feedback on it, And
it's funny, the inspiration, and I wonder if you find this in your own playing, is that it might not be immediate, because you're absorbing, you're taking in all the time, right? And then all of a sudden you'll play that and you go, well, especially for me when I was listening back, I know where I've got that from.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah,
it's interesting how you do that. Yeah, you know where it's where your focus went a little bit.
Yeah.
It's like, and you have to. The end goal is kind of like not thinking when you're playing, but you're always kind of thinking. But you want to have it more comfortable. Like this is something that Jim Chapin told me, and I didn't get it for years, and I probably heard me say that as memorial or something, but I'll say it again. He would always say at the end of his lessons, "Okay, good job. Forget you know me."
Yeah.
Forget you know me. And I'm like, what do you mean forget you know me? And so he said, when you go on the job, forget you know me. He was more specific. Yeah. When you go and play, forget you know me. I was like, what he was trying to say is, like you teach and I teach all the time, when we're practicing, we look at every little thing and we basically focus on everything, and we're really thinking about everything. How's my right hand look? How's my left hand? What am I playing? How do you count this? You're thinking and you're analyzing in your practice. When you play music, it's the last thing you want to do is analyze. You just want to let it happen. So what he was telling me to do is when I'm on that gig, don't look at my hand on the ride cymbal and think to myself, oh, Jim, you already blew the vibe, right? So it's you have to have things so engraved in you that they come out, but they're not random. But you don't want to overthink. So he was saying, don't think about your hand the way it looks, because then you're not thinking about the music. And I didn't get that for a long time. I was like, oh, that's what he meant.
Yeah. No, it's funny. He used to say exactly the same to me, because he used to say to me, what his heart would sink when he would turn up at a gig, any gig, and the drummer would see him there, and he'd start hearing examples from his book.
They're playing for him.
Yeah. And he'd kind of like, he'd have his like head in his hands, and he's like, they're not playing the music anymore.
Yep, they're thinking, and they're not let it happen. Yeah, they're not letting it happen.
Yeah, and I recall seeing drummers locally where they were so interested in the shape of their thumb, right?
Right.
They're like you are aware that there's music playing, right? Like
that's for the practice room. Like analyze, go crazy and analyze video stuff, do it, but not on the bandstand. Just play. You know,
Yeah.
and there's something also now that we're speaking that's reminding me of this whole thing. There's something about playing live and improvising and creating on the spot that is amazing to us, and it's also amazing to the audiences, because part of the show for this tribute band is everybody in the band gets a solo. They get to play by themselves, which is unlike what tribute bands usually do. But I noticed that the audiences are blown away watching somebody create in that moment. We're creating in the moment, but we're tributing and we're playing stuff like a session. Like, we're playing this music the way it was played. We have our own vibe and it's good, but when it's coming at you and it's amazing, but when somebody actually opens up and starts to solo or to create, people are really taken by that too. People that probably don't get to see that because they go to see popular music. So we all get to improvise and play and solo, and it's been going over great. Like, at the end of what's that song? It's more of a mid-tempo song. But my piano play, she'll open up and just like do a solo by herself, and people they just go crazy over it. I solo over a loop from Coldplay's Life in Technicolor song. It's a loop from the song. Oh, you saw? Yeah, I solo over that, and every night it's different, and people they're not used to seeing it. So it's kind of really nice to see how being able to improvise and let things happen. How it's also a two-way street in a way. People really enjoy that creativity coming at them. It's interesting,
And that's wonderful, that it's wonderful that, I mean, earlier in our chat today, we were talking about how the audiences are different if they're looking at the pop gig or the fusion gig.
Yes, right.
So I mean, it is part of human curiosity. It's not a criticism, but when you're doing the fusion thing or a big band, something that's technically high, people are watching you to learn from you in the moment, but they're analyzing you as well, right?
Yep.
And maybe they're even critiquing.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
It's human nature.
Yeah.
But when you're in the pop zone and people are fans of the band or fans of the genre or whatever, and then you create.
Yep.
They're perhaps not used to it because it's a different audience.
Yes, and we're bringing that to them, and it's working really well. And and then here's the second reason I did it. Probably maybe the first reason I did this. I figure if I give every musician a solo every night, they're going to come to the band warmed up. They're going to make sure they're on it because they got a solo. If they just were playing the tracks and just playing tunes all night, they might not, so like backstage, my guitar player is doing his scales and everybody's, it's like more of a thing. It's not just we're going to just play some songs. Yeah. Everybody gets to really stretch out. So, I'm back there with the pad. So it brings a little bit more musicianship to the night. And I think also it will, at the end of the day for us, will make the set less monotonous as well because we get to create and do whatever we want. We play the songs perfectly, but there's always a part of the set where we get to do whatever we kind of want, and that's going to keep it fresh as well. I think
Yeah, keeps it fresh for the audience as well.
As well. Yeah, because these fans come to a lot of shows. We have these people. They'll drive anywhere to see you. They'll go anywhere. They love this music so much. They come a lot. You get people showing up a lot at the same time.
It's interesting, because when I was doing the Rat Pack thing, the show that we was doing was Live at the Sands, that album.
Okay, yeah.
So you'd have people come up to me and they'd say, "Well, Irv didn't play like that."
Ah, okay.
And I thought, oh wow, I'm part of the tribute.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I just thought it was about the three actors up front playing the leads. Right, but and then of course when you've got your horn section doing, they're carrying the head, they're carrying the melody, and I was doing my bit.
Yeah.
But then I thought, okay, if I'm going to do like Beyond the Sea, like the Bobby Darin thing, I need to play that break, not a break. I need to play that break.
The triplets into you got to play those. I played that with. I forget what band it was years ago. Yeah, and you got that. People, the common person knows that.
Yeah.
Right,
and ba-ba-ba-boom, ba-ba-ba-boom.
Yes,
they want to hear that.
They want to hear that. They know it. It's that deep into their consciousness. It's like, listen, if you were asked to play in a Zeppelin tribute, you better play those parts I mean, those are like so standard. Those everybody in the world knows those parts, drum parts. You better be there for them. You better play that triplet thing on the on the bass drum with the high. They know it. Yeah, everybody knows it. You have to do it.
Yeah. It's fascinating. It's because. And I wasn't offended by it, and the person wasn't trying to offend me. That wasn't the point. But it kind of made me realize that I was more part of the show than I had figured. I just
yes.
And so that took me to another level. I had to learn the tracks in a different way.
Dive into what again? There's all different approaches for every single gig has different thing. This thing, a tribute to the big band, a tribute to Coldplay. You are doing your best to do what that guy did in that situation. And then what the beautiful thing with Coldplay is every song they ever recorded, you can find a YouTube video of playing it live. So they always play. There's never a studio track where it's only studio. So you can see. I always tell the players and myself, look at the we're gonna always lean towards the recorded version, but some things are different live because they're not in the studio. So look at the live version as well. And in Violet Hill in the studio, there's no hi-hat. It sticks on the rim of the toms, right? It's not on the hi-hat. It's on the I guess you'd call it a stick click on the rims of the toms, right? That's how it's recorded. But live, he's hitting that hi-hat because it doesn't carry as well. So these are the things you try to do, and you try to eliminate. Why did they do that? Okay, he's live. He needs more from that rhythm, and he needs it on the hi-hat. On the rims wasn't working. So, but then you also, in my opinion, you want to be out there in your everyday life, either practicing only or playing and creating and being yourself, and having that outlet, and so best of both worlds always, as much as you can experience with all that.
Can we have? Can you send over some links for the show notes? So like whether it's Spotify or YouTube or like.
Okay, for my stuff, the links that we're talking about,
Because I always like because the people, my students listening to this conversation, I want them to be able to find your work.
Okay, sure, great, yeah. I got everything linked up. Yeah, all this stuff.
Yeah,
and
And what's next for you then? So more of the Technicolor, Life in Technicolor?
Yeah, Life in Technicolor is going strong. And I think we have a long runway. Like I mentioned, it's encouraging because when I would play some of the fusion stuff, I knew where we were going to get to and what we were going to do. I knew the whole business, and there's a certain and this thing you could just keep. It's a pretty big runway. There's a lot of opportunity, which is great. So, and then hopefully next time we talk, I'll be out playing my Flow project.
Oh yeah.
I mean it's really, it hasn't been done before. It's my solo drum concert, not solo drum clinic concert. And it, like I said, it's everything that inspires me and music that inspires me, I'm giving back. And I think us as musicians, the reason why we do these live gigs is because, or record, is we want to make people feel like we feel when we listen to them, like when we listen to music. Like it's something about that feeling. Like I sit down and listen to that artist from London, Laura Mvula. Do you know Laura Mvula? She has this symphony concert recently I put on, and I'm just sitting there like, I'm blown away. Like I'm so moved. And I'm like, this is what we want to do. We want to move people like they move us. Like, we want to do the same thing. And so I'm trying to basically put this set of music together of everything that has inspired me. So it runs the gamut with a lot of different styles. Yeah. But I'm also putting a lot of inspirational quotes and spoken word and like things that have inspired me through the years, things that I haven't even really got to accomplish yet. There's like an optimist creed. And it's like this whole thing on how you're supposed to be in life and give to, and like, I'd love to be that way, and I strive for it for many years, and I'm not even really there yet, but I want to put it out there because it inspires me to do, And so that's in the show. And then I got some spoken word, and as I come down in volume, I don't know if you ever hear the Teddy Roosevelt speech, Man in the Arena. Really inspiring, man. Go listen to it. It's about check that out. It's a very inspiring speech, but basically what it's saying is you should never criticize anybody for trying something and doing something. It's that the man is in the Marine. If he's in there doing it, are you in there doing it? You know what I'm saying? The man, he's in there doing it. So you shouldn't say a word about it. I don't care what you think. Once you're in there doing it, then maybe you could say something. But, you know, it's that kind of thing. Real inspirational stuff. So I'm trying to pass that along, and just that's what this Flow project is going to be.
I'm excited about that.
I'm very excited about it. It's me with great sound, and then all this video that plays exactly with the drums and the music. It's all synced, the video. Wonderful. And like I said, it could be me playing to a regular audience and doing a Q&A at the end. It could be me giving a drum lesson at the end. It could be just playing a set and that's it. It's going to be interesting. I think it's going to be all of the above eventually. You know, I'm going to get out and play it in many different kind of situations.
I mean, that's exciting. I mean, it's funny, you know, one of the things I regret, let's say, is that you and I could never get our clinic tour off the ground. Do you remember?
Yeah, that one just didn't really. That was a rough one. I wonder why that never really. We had it close. Was it
close? It was. So for me, I mean, we were trying to do. Do you remember we were trying to do East Coast?
Yes.
US.
Right.
And I couldn't get the work visa.
That's been happening all over the place these days. Even more so. I've been hearing stories like that.
Yeah. And it was just too risky. I knew a guy. I knew a guy who he went to the States to do some work like that, and he hadn't got the right visa, and because of the internet and everything, they were expecting him. So when he landed, they questioned him, and he got it.
I've had my troubles with that too, going into Canada and stuff, and it adds a lot of stress, and and then the fees and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, I remember that. That's what it was, because only other thing that I was trying to do, I guess, with the clinics that didn't happen was when the volcano hit and everything was canceled. Remember that? Remember the volcano?
In Iceland.
In Iceland, I was going to Italy to do some clinics, and everything was shut down, and I was like, I couldn't do it. I think we postponed it or something, but that's the only time I didn't make it over for something was. I mean, what are you going to do about a?
It is what it is, isn't it?
I mean, that's God saying that's not happening this time. You know.
Yeah,
it's like,
stay home.
Stay home, man. If you don't get, that's pretty much a good sign, I think. You know, I mean. Yeah. That one didn't happen because of the volcano in Iceland. That's right. Yeah. Amazing.
I mean, so you know, please do keep me informed about this new project that you're putting together. It sounds very exciting. You know,
I'm really into it. Yeah,
I am committed to coming to the NAMM show in 27. Emotionally, I've made my mind up. I've never done a PASIC. I would love to do a PASIC. So
it depends on one thing right now with this. We have quite a few booking agents booking this band, Life in Technicolor, and it's a challenge because when the date comes in, I have to almost say yes, because the amount of work that goes on to get that date to me, and then the agent will get really not happy, and I won't be happy either, because it's so. Saying that to say that I'm waiting to book things, and I would say probably LA, but I'm going to try to make a PASIC is my first choice, I think.
Yeah. Well, let's keep in touch on that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and then if you're coming through Florida or even New York, let me know, because I'll be bouncing back up to New York a bit. Not a lot, but I will be. Definitely. Okay. Yeah, in summertime too. We were trying to get some shows there for this summer, and we're pending on a couple of venues. So I might be up on Long Island this summer. I might not be. But if you ever find yourself in Manhattan, think I'm still kind of there. You know.
Yeah, I'm definitely overdue. Definitely.
We had some good times there too, didn't we?
Yeah, we certainly did. We certainly did.
Yeah. It's great.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so I think that's a great place for us to push pause.
Sure.
I always say pause because I'd love to do this again.
Anytime. Like I said, I'll say it now on the official thing here. I just want to see you and say hello and catch up. You know, my wife Leslie was like, "What are you going to talk about?" And I said, "I just want to talk to Paul. I don't care what we talk about." We didn't talk about anything. We just got here and we just picked up for where we left off, right? I didn't say, "Hey, Paul, ask me about the new CD." Whatever, nothing. It was just I wanted to talk to you. So
no, it's the same. I miss you a lot. And every time I think about you, it's always coupled with laughter.
Yeah, I know. Big smile, which is good.
Big smile. Yeah. And And you know, and that isn't that a wonderful thing, you know, just to say, well, here's my friend John, and you know, beware, he's going to make you hurt in a positive way.
Yeah, good.
You know?
Yeah.
Good. So have a wonderful day.
Yeah, man, and feel free to check in anytime. We can talk how your family's doing. We didn't get too personal, so call anytime. Okay.
Yeah, likewise, please, and and keep me informed, and please do send the links for the show notes. So that'd be great.
Okay.
All right.
Cheers. Bye.
All right. You take care. Thanks.